Hello, I'm your host, Reen Diane of the Focus Lounge podcast. I just want to take a moment and thank you for tuning into this episode. I appreciate you following along the journey, and I look forward to seeing you in the lounge. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Focus Lounge podcast. We are going to be talking about the famous quote, "If you don't mind, it doesn't matter." But it should actually matter. All right? So, Mark Twain, a famous American writer, came up with this popular quote, and you've probably quoted it yourself. When I was doing my research on the quote, I found out that it was interpreted in different ways. And one of the interpretations that stood out to me is the one that said, "If you don't mind what other people think of you, it doesn't matter." Now let that sink in for a moment. Because we all have that moment in life that we worry about what people think, right? So in this context, the quote suggests that we should not let the opinion of others dictate our lives or our decisions. But I've been guilty of allowing what other people think to cloud my judgment. I find it amazing how others seem to know what's best for you or myself. But as soon as we pull the blanket back off of them, it's revealed that, they need to sweep around their own front door. They have a lot of stuff going on in their lives, but they're wearing a mask and trying to cover up and trying to control someone else's life. Another interesting fact that I learned about Mark Twain was his unique perspective on life. He believed in living life on his own terms and not worrying too much about what others thought of him. Growing up, I was called Shorty. People found the need to remind me that I was short. I was told to ignore them. So I took on the mindset at an early age that if I didn't mind what they said, then it wouldn't matter. But deep down inside, it bothered me, which meant it mattered. There was a saying growing up that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. Well, whoever came up with that, they lied. Words hurt far more than sticks and stones. When you get hit with a stick, the pain lasts for a moment. But when you get hit with negative words, that pain can last a lifetime. I already knew I was short. And still to this day, when I see someone else really short, I take a look at my cousin or my daughter or a friend and say, hey, I'm going to go stand next to this person and tell me if I'm taller than they are. But what am I doing? I'm trying to seek validation, trying to prove that I'm not all that short. But this started when I was in grammar school, and it was just some words. But words aren't just some words. Words can be very painful, and we got to be careful how we toss them around. And it's natural for us to seek approval of others. It can be easy to get caught up in seeking validation from others. But what's most important to remember is that you don't need validation from anyone else. Regardless of how often I try to measure up against a 5-year-old kid. Just kidding. At the end of the day, I'm short. That's how God created me. And it's up to me to stop seeking validation. Validation is a temporary thing. It only makes us feel good for the moment. But the sad thing is, it's not a sustainable source of happiness. When we realize the issue at hand, and it's really not an issue being short, but just saying, when we realize what we're really facing in life, and it's all about acceptance. If we're willing to accept what we see, what somebody says about it shouldn't even matter. Nothing else should even matter. because you already know who you are. The key thing is showing people who you are without allowing them to intimidate you. You are the one who has to wake up every morning and go through your day. So it's important to make sure that you are living life on your terms. Living life on your own terms, means making choices that align with your values, your goals, and desires. It's about taking ownership of your life and being true to yourself. This doesn't mean being selfish or disregarding the needs of or feelings of others. Rather, it means finding a balance between your own needs and the needs of those around you. We can't be afraid to communicate our intentions and boundaries with others. It is important to set boundaries and make choices that you are willing to live with. I've learned that living life on my own terms is not only empowering, but allows me to be my best self and not worry about trying to live up to someone else's expectations. As always, I want to share a few tips that will bring fulfillment and purpose to your everyday life. The first step in living your best life is to define what that means to you. This will be different for everyone. So you want to take some time to reflect on what brings you happiness, fulfillment, and purpose. You want to ask yourself questions like, what are my values? What are my passions? What are my goals? Once you have a clear idea of what living your best life means to you, you can start taking steps to making it a reality. Again, don't rush into something, but see, when you write stuff down, it just seems to work out right. I'm certain you've heard that saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So we want to take time in our life and start planning to do things on purpose. All right. All right. Step 2, focusing on the positive can help you live your best life. Instead of dwelling on the negative, try to focus on good things in your life. Practice gratitude by making a list of things that you are thankful for each day. Surround yourself with positive people who lift you up and support you. And step 3, taking care of yourself is essential for living your best life. This includes getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, exercise regularly, and take time for self-care. Activities like meditation, reading, or spending time in nature. When you take care of yourself, you are better able to show up in the world as your best self. One thing that I enjoy doing is fishing. I love the quietness and just the sound of the insects and the birds chirping, but the joy when that fish get on that hook and you reeling it in. I mean, it just does something to you, but just the peace around you. So you want to try to go ahead and find some way that you can spend time where you're taking care of yourself. All right, let's look at number 4. Number 4, pursuing your passion is a great way to live your best life. Rather than painting, writing, cooking, or playing music, find something that brings you joy and make time for it in your life. Pursuing your passion can help you feel more fulfilled and give you a sense of purpose. It doesn't matter what someone else is doing, meaning if they don't find the excitement in what you see. If it makes you happy, you do it. I mean, doggone, we can't. If we live our lives based on what other people want us to do, maybe you enjoy hiking, but the people you hang out with don't like being outdoors. That shouldn't stop you from fulfilling your own happiness. Go out there and hike. Step 5, you want to make a connection with others. It is an important part of living your best life. Surround yourself with people who share your values and support you. Make time for meaningful connections with friends and family. And consider getting involved in your community through volunteering or joining a group that aligns with your interests. Do not get involved in something again because someone else is doing it. If you don't enjoy it, you're setting yourself up to fail. So remember, it's easy to get caught up in seeking validation from others and worrying about what they think of us. But it's important to remember that you are the only one living your life. You cannot stop doing what you enjoy for the sake of others. This is a wrap for this episode of the Focus Lounge podcast. I hope you've enjoyed our discussion on if you don't mind, doesn't matter, and why it should actually matter. Remember, you can consider the opinions of others, but ultimately, you and only you are the one living your life, and you don't need validation from anyone else. I hope this episode has inspired you to focus on yourself and live life on purpose. Thank you for tuning into this episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and also on YouTube. Remember, Focus Lounge Podcast. Subscribe today. Thank you for tuning in.